Welcome to the Vitality Vault Podcast, your one-stop shop for health and wellness. Join us as we dive deep into the latest medical trends, break down complex health topics, and empower you to live a more vibrant life.
Hi there. I'm Dr. Bacchus Morris, a triple board certified physician who specializes in internal medicine, obesity medicine, as well as anti-aging, regenerative, and aesthetic medicine.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gerald Morris, and I am a double board certified physician in internal medicine and obesity medicine with special interest in peptide therapeutics, which I got certified in.
Together, we're passionate about helping you achieve optimal health and longevity. From exercise, nutrition, we'll be bringing you the latest cutting edge in terms of weight loss and everything else in the wellness world to help you achieve a healthier you.
So our goal is to help you live your best life. So whether you're looking for weight loss strategies, longevity, just want to live a little bit better, and have these tips that you can apply to your daily life from day one, we are here to help. So come join us on this journey.
Join the doctors, voted top internist in Tucson 4 years running. So let's unlock your potential together. Welcome to the Vitality Vault Podcast with Dr. B and Dr. G.
Hi, everyone. Dr. B and Dr. G here. And today we're bringing you another podcast in our series of talking about obesity. And today we're going to be talking about strategies to combat obesity. So basically weight loss strategies. And we're going to start first talking about different diets. So I have a question for Dr. Morris today. And I know that he can tell you what the best weight loss diet is, correct?
Yes. So are you guys ready? Are you ready for this? The most effective diet for weight loss is the one you can stick to. It's
so
honest.
True.
It's true. It's the one that you can actually stick to and the one that resonates with you, it has all the follow through in it, and there's nothing that you don't want to eat in there. So that's the most effective diet for weight loss. And we don't really like the word diet. We like the words more lifestyle, because the word diet has die in it and nobody really likes that. So we want to make sure that it's a lifestyle change you're doing. You're kind of setting yourself apart and you're kind of moving in that health direction.
And I think the word diet has in the past meant something that you did for a short while to achieve, whether it be weight loss or muscle gain or whatever the case may be. But then you go back to your old ways of eating. So lifestyle change is definitely the way to look at any diet changes because you're looking at long term. You don't just want to eat healthily for a month or two. You want to continue, with your lifestyle changes.
Yeah. So the first one that we're going to tackle today is let's go through some diets
Absolutely.
Lifestyle diets that we think, that's out there in public domain, people know about. So first, let's talk about the ketogenic diet. Now, what that is, it's a diet that has a significantly reduced amount of carbohydrate. I think it's like 15% of your calories intake is carbohydrate, but you have almost 60-70% fat and then the rest protein. So it is a significantly reduced carbohydrate diet, which is good. You can see significant weight loss with this one. However, you got to be careful because long-term use of this can lead to increased issues with bone loss just because of the mere fact that your body is in a slightly acidotic state while you're doing this particular diet. And also people who have issues with high cholesterol should really be careful because if keto is done wrong, you could end up pounding through pounds and pounds of bacon and really hurting yourself. So just be very careful with this particular one.
So next we're going to be talking about intermittent fasting. And this is one that you can actually do long term, unlike the ketogenic diet that Dr. G just spoke about. So what does that mean, intermittent fasting? So you have a window during the day that you eat for, and so when you say like 16-8 intermittent fasting, that means that you're fasting for 16 hours and eating during that 8-hour window that you have left. So basically, if you get up and you decide that you're not going to start eating until noon, so you have that 8 hours, so you have noon till 8 o'clock to get your, calories and to get whatever food you're going to be eating. Apart from that, during the rest of if you're doing that 16/8, during the 16 hours, you can drink lots of water. You could drink like decaf tea or coffee as well. It's not decaf, sorry, black tea or coffee without sugar added creamer. So that way your body still is thinking that you're fasting. And so fasting has a lot of benefits, not just weight loss, but also helping with regeneration of cells. And so with intermittent fasting, you can actually control how much you're eating during the day, helping you with weight loss, and helping you feel better overall, actually.
So next up, we are going to talk about the Mediterranean diet.
Did you say Mediterranean?
I said Mediterranean.
Mediterranean.
Mediterranean. Cool. So the Mediterranean diet is a really good one for those of us who have high cholesterol or cardiovascular issues. It's kind of one that a lot of cardiologists love to recommend because we do think it's a good one. It's one that focuses primarily on eating a lot more whole foods, more vegetables, more leafy greens, and lean meats like fish and turkey and chicken, staying away from typically the beef and stuff like that. So it is a good one to have. Now, the trick with it is you're not going to see as much rapid weight loss with it because it does not focus on calorie restriction like intermittent fasting would. So, but the weight loss can be slow and steady. So it's a good one to be on if you have those issues. Remember, Mediterranean diet.
Okay, so next up we have the paleo diet. And this is a diet from the Paleolithic era where basically you're eating whole foods. So none of the processed foods that we find on the shelf or anything anymore. It's basically going back to, picking fresh foods from your garden, preparing them, milking the cow, etc. So going back to a more clean way of eating and not introducing the other, whatever the processed foods introducing that we talked about, the antibiotics in some of our meats and foods and the other added products that actually doesn't add any value to it. Now, fun fact for the paleo diet, back in the day, when they look at the true paleo diet, 20% of your diet was supposed to come from bugs. That's right, eating bugs.
So were those bugs from the Mediterranean?
Mediterranean bugs? Maybe.
Maybe. Next up, we have a fan favorite, vegan or vegetarian diet. Now, this one has a lot of cultural impacts, and for some groups in the world where they only eat plant-based matter as part of the diet. This one is you gotta be tricky with this one because if you are true vegan, obviously there's nothing animal in your diet. However, you can see some pretty significant deficiencies in this particular diet with regards to iron is one in particular because the plant-based iron is not absorbed very well in the human anatomy. So it is a good one to have if you're someone who are trying to live more health conscious, but just be very careful because a lot of times when you do strict vegan or let's say vegetarian, but strict vegan, it's very carb heavy. So we have seen, at least in our practice and in talking to patients, a lot of vegans who aren't as healthy as, honestly, as they thought they would be, just because of the mere fact that the amount of carbohydrates they're getting is a lot. So next up, we're talking physical activity, getting into the gym. So HIIT training, one of my favorites. It's high intensity interval training. This is short bursts of physical activity that aim to raise your heart rate to that fat burning and then to the cardio burning zone, and then you calm down during rest periods. This is really good to helping build your cardiovascular endurance as well as overall muscle endurance while you're working out. Cons though, if you have joint issues, some of these exercises can be really taxing on you. So for instance, like box jumps, or if you're doing pull-ups, and if it's in a rapid succession, you can end up with injuries. So be very smart and always check with your healthcare provider before you tack on to any kind of HIIT training protocol that's at your gym.
So let's talk about strength training. So strength training basically is muscle building exercises, whether you're doing with weights or body lifting, you can use bands as well, and you're focusing on a muscle group, usually with these exercises. And not so much getting your heart rate up there, but building muscle does help with your metabolism, which in turn help with weight loss. It actually helps to burn some of the fat and you replace some with muscle. So that's great. Now, the problem with just doing strength training only or mostly as your exercise is that sometimes you don't see as much weight loss in the beginning, because as I said, there's not much heart raising activities, those cardio aerobic activities, but it is important to build muscle, for leaner body weight and also to help with your metabolism.
Next up is cardiovascular exercise, or what people call cardio training. This is basically long periods of either treadmill activity, elliptical activity, outdoor running. You're kind of always in that zone. It does work well for a lot of people to help them lose, but more importantly, maintain the weight they've already lost. The only problem is it puts you in a chronically anaerobic state, because for the long distance runners, they lean out. So if you're looking to build muscle, it's not what you should be primarily focusing on. But if you're that person who is just trying to lean out, it's a good idea to do it. This one, a couple cons. One, it can be very joint taxing. So if you are someone who's an outdoor runner, you may see issues with ankles, with knees. If you're someone who's doing swimming a ton, you could see some shoulder issues. So that's one con with it. Another con is a lot of people who are heavily into cardiovascular exercise can end up with a lot of chronic inflammation in their bodies. So we are always very, very mindful of our patients when they are doing these to tell them to mix it up, to add a different modality. A good fun fact I came across today when I was doing my reading was there's a study that was done in the UK. It's in the Journal of Nature Medicine. And what they found is out of a cohort of, I think, about 75,000 people, they randomized them into 3 different groups: the weekend warrior, the regular exerciser, and the sedentary person. And this study was done basically to look at the effects of physical activity or exercise on brain health and long-term longevity. And what they found is the weekend warrior, which was described as a person who basically had their work throughout the week and then really hit the gym hard on the weekend. And they did 75 minutes or more of really intense physical activity on the weekend. And the regular exercise guy, the one who did 3 to 4 times a week, did the same amount of exercise as that weekend warrior. And what they found in those 2 groups had much better long-term outcomes with regards to mental health, brain function, risk of Alzheimer's went down compared to our sedentary folks. So no matter what you pick, whether it's HIIT training, cardiovascular, or strength training, it's been proven. Any of these can definitely help improve longevity, especially with regards to your brain.
Let's talk about group fitness classes. Now, this is a great way to get yourself into the world of exercise if you're not used to doing something on a regular basis. A lot of my clients, they struggle with the motivation to actually start working out. And so going into a group class, whether it be cardio, strength training, or it be something low impact like yoga, Pilates, whatever it is, you're going into a group setting where you're meeting other people, where you have an instructor tell you what to do. So instead of thinking, today I'm going to be doing cardio, I'm going to put on my kickboxing video, etc., you go to that class, you get out of your house, first of all. That's always good. You go to that group class, you get to interact with others. So these are all pros of doing group training. And you don't have to think about what to do next. You have the instructor guiding you. Also, they usually keep an eye on you, make sure your form is good. So it's a great way to learn new exercises and try to figure out what best fits your style. You might end up liking Pilates, but you might end up liking that Zumba class as well too. So you can mix it up and, get fun, have fun doing your exercise. So another con to these group classes is a limited customization. But again, you get to learn what you like to do. So you could always develop your own program later, whether you do it at home or go to the gym. So I love group classes.
So we're talking about surgery now. So let's talk about the different ones that are out and about and on the market now, and some of the good ones, the good, the bad, the ugly of weight loss surgery. First up is gastric bypass. That is the old school one called the Roux Y. They did this has been going on for like 30 years now. They've been doing this one where they will literally cut the stomach, detach the duodenum, reattach it to the top of the stomach. So it was really an invasive surgery. So it's kind of one that is not as common anymore, but it's still available if you're a candidate for it. Next up, we have the sleeve gastrectomy. This is the more common one that we're seeing nowadays being done. Tip is it actually is better, in my opinion, and most surgeons, than the first one, which is the traditional one, because there's much less nutritional deficiencies with this particular surgery, because we're not cutting anything off and reattaching. They're just making your stomach much smaller and into a sleeve shape, so that way you don't eat as much. A good thing about both of these surgeries is that your natural production of hormones that help with weight loss skyrockets. So that's why a lot of people see a lot of weight loss in the beginning. Switching over to the other one that we have is the gastric banding. This one has definitely fallen by the wayside. I think there are still some clients who still have their band in place. All this was is basically a surgically implanted band around the top of your stomach that was inflated with saline. And what that would is, once again, restrict the flow of food. The problem with this one, the weight loss was not as great as with the first two options we talked about. And a lot of patients had complications where the band would slip, it would erode in the stomach. So it really wasn't a great option. I see where they were going with this one, but people didn't like it. So a lot of surgeons have actually stopped doing this particular surgery. Now, if you're someone who fits into this criteria, you might want to consider talking to your primary care doctor or your healthcare provider and seeing if maybe you should talk to a surgeon about what are your options for weight loss surgery, because it has helped change a lot of lives. And just remember, surgery is not the end of it. It is the beginning to a lifestyle. So having the surgery done doesn't mean things are fixed. We got to change the mindset on how we see food and how you deal with stresses, because most of us run to certain foods when we're stressed. I don't know about you, but most people don't run to broccoli when they're pissed. They run to ice cream. So it's a good way to get the weight loss going, but to maintain it, you're gonna have to work on do some internal mental work as well.
So let's talk about weight loss medications now. I'm sure you've seen things being advertised on TV. You've heard about maybe from your friends that things are being prescribed. So let's talk about the different weight loss medications that are out there, how they work, how they may benefit you, what may be the best choice for you. And we'll talk a little bit about the pros and cons, side effects, stuff like that. So the first one up here is called Quizimia, and it's a combination of topiramate or Topamax, that's the brand name, and phentermine. Now, phentermine has been around for a long time, and it is available by itself as well, too, as a weight loss medication. It's actually an appetite suppressant, but it's in the category of a stimulant. So it may not be a good choice for people who are suffering from high blood pressure, because it can increase your blood pressure, increase your heart rate. It may not be good for people who are suffering from anxiety. Basically, anyone who is stimulant is probably not the best choice for. Topiramate or Topamax, also available by itself. They found that the combination of the phentermine and the Topamax actually helps to decrease your appetite significantly. So that's why it was comboed into this brand name Quizimia. One downfall of topiramate is, yes, it helps with the appetite control, but in higher doses, usually when you hit like 100 milligrams and above, it can cause some issues with just concentration, memory. Some people describe it as memory fog. So we have to be careful about the dosage. But there are out there these two medications in combination to help with decreasing your appetite and decreasing cravings. Next up, we have Orlistat. Now, this one is actually over the counter, so you can get it. I know you can get it at some grocery stores, at the pharmacies, at Costco, and it is relatively safe to take, because what it does, it blocks the absorption of fat through the gut. So a lot of people take it just before a fatty meal, like if you have something with lots of cheese, like pizza, for example, lasagna, the rich fatty foods. It actually helps to block the absorption of fat, so that a lot of that just passes out in your stool, and so you don't absorb that. It's really great for people with high cholesterol as well, too, so that because you're not absorbing all those saturated fats. So weight loss and cholesterol, it does help with. And usually, if you, for overall fat loss, usually we see about 5 to 7% of fat loss or body weight loss, I should say, with using this orlistat on a regular basis.
Now, wasn't there a really gnarly side effect to this particular drug that people would complain about?
Well, yes, there is a side effect
Mm-hmm.
of oily stools.
So oily squirts, basically. Yeah,
Yes.
so watch out for the oily squirts. If you're going to take orlistat, be very careful what you put in because you won't like what you get out.
And it can actually deposit even without having a bowel movement. So there've been times that patients told me that they had to, wear a liner or something during the day.
They got an oily surprise.
Yes. So, but you know what? If you're going to eat, it's to be expected if you're eating, as I said, those high fatty content, greasy foods. Again, if you use this and you eat in moderation, you're not going to end up with the high fat content of your stools.
Oily squirts. No.
Next up, we have Contrave. Actually, this is one of my favorite weight loss medications because it has two medications in there, naltrexone and bupropion, that really helps decrease the cravings. They work on the brain, the center in the brain for cravings and help to decrease. So if you're that person that, really you have that sweet tooth, or you really have to eat something savory in the evenings when you're sitting down watching TV, no matter what, like these cravings just overcome you, this may be a good medication for you. And bupropion actually helps to increase the amount of dopamine in your brain. So those people who are eating out of depression may benefit from being on Contrave for their weight loss. And typically, the data has shown up to almost 10% of weight loss with regular use of Contrave. And honestly, in my practice, I've seen patients lose more than that. So, this is just an average, but if this is the right medication for you and it helps you to stick to your healthy options, you can have a great benefit from it.
Alrighty, so now let's get to what's new and hot in the 21st century with regards to weight loss medications. You've heard of them. They're the GLP-1s. They're peptides. I love peptides. I love these ones. So the first one to talk about is semaglutide. So semaglutide is, obviously, everyone knows about it. Brand names are Wegovy for weight loss. You can get Ozempic for if you have diabetes. Now, what a GLP-1 is a glucagon-like peptide receptor agonist, and that's what it does. So it's a GLP-1 is a hormone that's made in the gut, and what that does is it helps with satiety. It helps you feel fuller faster. Now, what happens is when you naturally make your GLP-1, it only lasts for a couple seconds. So what they've done is been able to isolate this particular peptide, which can last up to 7 days in the system and help reduce your cravings and how much you eat. It slows down gastric emptying, so things stay in your gut a little longer, so you feel fuller longer. And it also works in the brain to help with that craving aspect. So we've seen a lot of good success with this. People can lose up to 20% of their weight loss, which is not in the data per se. They like to downplay it, like about 15%, but we've seen patients lose upwards of 20% of weight while on this particular medication. Now, it does have some side effects, and a major one that we see is nausea. And nausea happens for a couple of reasons. I like to tell patients, it all depends on what you eat. So you can see nausea if you eat too much while on it, because what's going to happen is you're going to begin to feel full, even though the plate still has food. And at that point, you want to push away. That's one way. You eat through that, you're going to have nausea. Another way you can see nausea is depending on what you eat. So if the food is rich in fat or rich in carbs, you're going to have nausea. So you'll be very careful when you're on this particular medication. Now, we also advise patients while they're on this one to drink lots of fluids, to stay extremely well hydrated on this particular medication, because that can also lead to constipation for some people. So this is mitigated by getting on a good supplement, a magnesium supplement, or having a good amount of fiber in your diet. So GLP-1 semaglutide, one of my faves to help patients achieve their goal of weight loss. Next up is tirzepatide, one of the newer kids on the block. Brand name is Zepbound for weight loss. And this particular one is not just one receptor, but two. So you have the GLP-1 and you have the GIP right? So what these two receptors, they do both work in the gut, and they do the same thing as having GLP-1 by itself. But think of it as, instead of having Batman alone, you have Batman and Robin helping you fight against obesity. So similar side effects to semaglutide. I have seen in my practice better weight loss. So patients who have kind of stalled on their Wegovy/semaglutide regimen, we change them to this one, and then they see the weight loss almost like restarting. And also this one is FDA approved for diabetes as well. So the first two we talked about, semaglutide, tirzepatide, excellent drugs for weight loss and diabetes. You want to be able to knock out two birds with one stone. This is a good one to be on for your weight loss journey. Alrighty, so new kid on the block. You heard it here first, people. Cagrilintide. So this one is an amylin analog. So it actually is a mimic of a natural hormone that you make in your body to help with satiety. And we've been able to have this one available now to some patients to help boost the effect of their already GLP-1 regimen. It is used for patients who have diabetes as well. But this one is a really good one. It's a once a week shot, just like the others, subcutaneous, and it works really well in lowering the weight by decreasing appetite and helping modulate glycemic control or blood sugar control for those patients who have diabetes. So cagrilintide, new kid on the block, look out for it. This has been a game changer for a few of our clients who have started it in the last couple months, where their weight loss has gotten significantly better and their blood sugars are all the more sweeter. Well, not sweeter, you know what I mean. Better, put it that way. Last but certainly not least, rounding out the peptides, we have retatrutide, only available through compounding right now. This one does not one, not two, but 3 receptors in the gut to help with weight loss. We're talking GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptor. Oh my gosh, come on. What more do you want? What more do you want? 3 receptors being taken care of by this particular medication, and it has been shown, at least in early trials, to help reduce weight, just like the first couple of peptides I talked about. So it's a good one to be on. Has similar side effects as the other ones we talked about, the tirzepatide and semaglutide and the cagrilintide. Has similar effects, which is GI upset. It can cause nausea, but once again, that can be mitigated by following a healthy diet while on this particular medication. So the arena for weight loss medications is just widening. We're seeing all these new ones come down the pipeline. I know that there is, talk in the ethos about, you when you lose weight, you lose muscle. I'm going to address that right now. Not necessarily. If you're on a peptide regimen for weight loss and you're eating right, you're drinking enough water, right, and you're exercising, you will lose a ton of fat mass, but you can maintain muscle. I have seen patients where, yes, when you did a body composition on them, their muscle mass went down, but overall they were stronger. Muscle is fibers. When you tighten up muscle and make it more efficient, those fibers tighten. When that happens, you get stronger and it looks like you lost muscle, but you maintain your strength. So don't worry about that noise. You can maintain strength while you're on a peptide regimen for weight loss. I think you should give it a try.
Well, that was a lot of information, Dr. G.
Oh, yes.
Oh my, we talked about diets, we talked about medications,
eating
we talked
bugs,
about exercise, we talked about Mediterranean bugs.
And Mediterranean, and we talked about the oily squirts with a medication. I mean, all the great stuff, right?
Well, hopefully you learned a lot today. Again, it was probably a lot of information to throw at you, but take your time, digest what we just gave you in this podcast, and definitely talk to your doctor or healthcare provider about what is best for you. What would be best in terms of the best diet based on other things that might be going on health-wise for you. What would be the best in terms of you moving, that's i.e. exercise, and definitely medications that can help to augment your weight loss, help you in this journey towards a better health.
Thank you for tuning in, guys, and look out for our 3rd installment where we're talking about health tech or using, different apps to help with your weight loss while you trek through this journey. Hope you guys enjoyed. Can't wait to see you again soon.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Vitality Vault with Dr. B and Dr. G. Don't forget to check out our other informative episodes as the doctors dive deep into your health and wellness so you can live a more vibrant life.